Hey, what's up, my friends? Grant here from the Speaker Lab, giving you another speech breakdown. Today we are doing a little bit of a different talk. This is a really popular wedding toast from the best brother. This is a very funny talk. This is a guy that probably doesn't give a lot of presentations or speeches. He spends a lot of time staring at his notes. So we talk about some things that he could do better, some things he could improve on, some ways that he could get away from his notes. One thing he does really well, though, he does a great callback towards the end of his talk, referencing something he said in the beginning. So look for that. Callbacks are really, really effective, really, really powerful for speakers to use in their presentation. So let's get right into it. Here we go.
I have to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to keep this short.
That's a good opening line. Again, it's good, gets a good laugh, gets a good reaction right out of the gate. Now, in this type of context, one of the things that you have to remember is the understanding the audience and their relationship to you as the speaker. So in this context, I'm assuming he's the brother, I think he's the brother of the bride or groom, I think the groom. And so he's up there giving the best man, or I think in this case, best brother talk. And so one of the things that he has right away as an advantage is he probably has a lot of rapport and relationship with the entire audience. They already know him, they're connected with him in some way, either as other family members, or he's obviously part of the wedding, and so they're familiar with him through that. So it definitely helps him immediately have some instant rapport with the audience, versus in some cases, a speaker may get up to give some type of presentation, in which case the audience has no clue who they are, and so they have to spend a lot more time warming up to the audience and building that rapport and that relationship with them. So a way to think about this is, if you're giving a presentation, does the audience want to be there, or does the audience have to be there? Does the audience want to be there, or do they have to be there? Two totally different audiences. An audience that wants to be there, in this case, they probably want to be there. They're much more receptive and interested in hearing what he has to say, versus an audience that has to be there. They're there because their boss made them, they're there because their parents made them, they're there because someone else made them, but they have no desire to actually be there. Those are a tough audience because you have to build more rapport and connection with them.
Following Herb is always a tough task, but I'll give it my best shot. A few months ago, I was talking to Alan, and
now, it appears with his paper there, he's going to be reading all of this, okay? Which I'm typically not a fan of. I think in this context, as a wedding toast, he can probably get away with it and it'll be fine. Especially where my guess is he's going to be delivering a lot of these key lines where he wants to make sure he nails the line. So that's fine. You know, I'm always going to give grace to someone who's, like, they're not necessarily a professional speaker. This isn't something that they do on a regular basis. And so they're just getting up in front of an audience. He's probably extremely nervous about this, which is okay, totally understandable. But anytime that you can present without using notes, I think it's even that much more effective and that much more powerful. So a way to think about this is, you know, if I were to ask you, hey, tell me about the time when your son or daughter was born, or when you the first date you went on with your spouse, or tell me about some significant life moment, the big job interview where you landed the job, or the big game where you scored the winning points, or whatever. Whatever that thing, like that key moment, you wouldn't be like, ooh, I would love to tell you, I just don't have my notes with me, right? It's something that, like, I lived, I know, I experienced, and so it's much easier for you to share that. So anytime that you can share something that doesn't require notes, it makes you much more present and engaged with the audience.
he's like, I don't really want you to speak at my wedding, but you're the only brother I have. So, here we are.
This is awkward.
For those of you that do not know me, my name is Aaron, and I'm today's best brother. I decided to enter the best brother sweepstakes instead of the best maiden sweepstakes because there is less competition.
That's a good line.
Michelle and Alan, it is an honor to stand up here today. I can't be more happy for you too. So glad we can celebrate this day with so many friends and family from not only around this area, but from around the world. There's people from Quebec, Alberta, the States. There's even someone from Australia here. It's amazing how far some people will travel for a free meal.
That's a good line. So again, the more he's reading it, the more his head is down, the less engaged he is with the audience. Now, occasionally he'll kind of look up and smirk or something like that. But again, the more you can be fully present, the more you can make eye contact with the audience, the more they're going to be connected with you.
Alan, I am honored to be part of this small army that you call a wedding party. That's the biggest table I've ever seen.
Okay, so he did two things there. One, again, like because you're glued to your notes, he's talking to his brother. I assume he's talking to his brother. Alan, thank you for letting me be a part of this. But he's not even looking at Alan, right? You want to look at whoever it is that you're talking to or whoever it is that you're acknowledging. Now, a thing that he did there is he kind of did like a throwaway line, right? Like kind of a tag to the joke. So the joke was, this is the biggest army that I've ever, or thank you for letting me be a part of this army. And then he kind of almost under his breath says, that's the biggest table I've ever seen, right? Just a kind of little side joke there, but it adds some power to the original joke.
When Alan said today would include a big party, I thought he was talking about the reception. I don't know which group is larger, Alan's groomsmen or Rita McNeil's pallbearers.
Now again, as another side note, it appears he's chewing gum. As a speaker, don't chew gum, all right? Just if you need to, like, it's like a nervous tick or something that you need to do backstage, that's fine. Before you go on stage, just spit it out. Don't have gum in your mouth when you're speaking.
Her music will live in my heart forever. Especially awesome that we're here today, considering.
Okay, now another thing that he did there is, I kind of missed what the joke was. I'm not sure who exactly he was referencing there, but he pauses, lets the laughter build, and then he snickers a little bit himself. And again, we've talked about this, but audiences take their cues from you as the speaker. So if something is awkward to you and uncomfortable to you, it makes it feel awkward and uncomfortable to the audience. And so if you find yourself laughing at your own jokes, the audience, it gives them permission to continue to laugh there. So doing that is a really effective tip and trick that a lot of comedians use, that you'll see them like, I'm gonna just give me this one time. And so if you do it to a point where then it engages the audience and they want to know where this is going, they find it funny that you find it funny. But again, if you do it too much, then it just becomes like weird and awkward and cheesy. Don't do that.
Alan had kidney stones only a few days ago. For a short period of time there, Alan was in quite a bit of pain. And looked as today might not even happen.
Okay, let's talk about if you are speaking in the type of venue or event where there is a meal being served, okay? Speakers hate this, okay? So there's a couple things that you can do. So if you're going to be speaking, let's say after a dinner, preferably not during a dinner and maybe before dinner, but if you're going to be speaking and there's a meal being served at some point, what you want to do is you always want to make sure that you ask the client that the service staff be done when you get up there. Because every time a server's walking by, it's distracting. If they're picking up silverware, they're clinking plates or glasses, or they're trying to clear a table, or they're refilling drinks. Like, that's a huge distraction. And it's something that can be easily avoided. So anytime I've been in that environment, I always tell the client to talk with the service staff and say, hey, whenever the guy gets up there to speak, you guys are done. Nobody's moving around, nobody's clearing any of that type of stuff. And even if you need to have, let's say it was like a buffet thing and everybody's supposed to clear their own plates, then let's do that. I'm gonna give you everybody just a couple of minutes here. Go ahead and clear your plates, refresh your drinks. We're gonna come back here in just a second and get started with our next presentation and next speaker. Something like that gets everybody situated and settled. You just, like, the more things that are happening, the more movement that's taking place, just the more distracting it is for everybody. So you want everybody situated and seated, including the service staff. You don't want them to be dealing with a bunch of glasses and plates and all of that stuff while someone is up there speaking.
There was always a part of me, however, that knew the wedding was going to happen. I knew Alan would not let anything get in the way of him marrying Michelle. That and the fact that we are a Dutch family and everything had been paid for. So, let me tell you a bit about my relationship with Alan. We met in the 80s.
Come on, dude, look up.
Back in a time when Spam was simply canned meat. At first, I think Alan respected me because he would do courteous things for me, including give me the top bunk. Within a few short years, however, our brotherly rivalry intensified, and Alan was already bigger than me. If you look at old family photos, such as the one at table 3, you guys can check it out after. Alan kind of looked like a child bodybuilder.
Okay, now this isn't as effective because people can't actually see what he's talking about, right? So he's referencing, hey, I got this picture down front here at such and such table. You can come check it out later. Like, most people aren't going to come down to table 3 and then connect the dots back to, like, what was the line he said? Oh yeah, that one, he looks like a bodybuilder. Yeah, you're right. He does look like a bodybuilder. Like, that's typically not going to happen. So this is where having some type of slide is going to be effective to be able to show this. And if you don't have the slide, it's oftentimes better just to skip that joke because it's just not going to be as powerful or as effective, because he's explaining it. People are just kind of like, I don't know, maybe table 3 is the only table that's actually laughing because they're the ones that actually have the picture and they're like, oh yeah, right, he does look like a bodybuilder. So just be cautious if you're going to be using something that people can't actually see and you're trying to describe it.
And I look like Janet never fed me.
Chewing gum. Don't chew gum.
Even to this day, she's always like, Alan needs his protein, Alan needs his protein. So we just starve, I guess.
The other thing I'm guessing in this situation and circumstance is because he's delivering this in a wedding reception that some percentage of the audience has had some alcohol, which may make them a little bit more relaxed, may make them a little bit more easily entertained and ready to have a good time. It can work in your favor if you're a speaker. It can also be a massive backfire.
Because of Alan's physique, I avoided getting into physical confrontations with him. Instead, I tried to outsmart him. My favorite tactic was giving him hard objects such as marbles, and then standing in front of glass objects such as mirrors, windows, and pictures. I would then insult him. And he, being kind of like a large dog, not knowing his own strength, would hurl the marble at me. I would duck, the glass would break. I would love every second of it.
He's also doing this in a very deadpan way. So he's not super animated as he's telling this. You know, my brother and I would get in these fights. I'd give him marbles. I'd stand around glass. He'd throw them. I'd duck. Marble would hit the glass. I would win. I enjoyed this. But he does it again in a deadpan way that makes it funny. That's what makes it humorous and entertaining.
As the years went on, though, I thought the rivalry was dying down and a possible friendship was beginning. I guess I was mistaken, though. I received an email from Alan on my birthday one year. It said, "Happy birthday. Mom made me send this."
It's good.
I won't make much more fun of Alan, though, because A, we all know he's been through enough pain already this week, and B, let's be honest, making fun of Alan is very hard to do. That was kind of... I may be the older brother, but Alan was and is so good at so many things. He has so many good qualities. Oops. Sorry, I was the one usually looking up to him. Because Alan is nearly perfect and really doesn't make it.
Now again, this is one of those situations where if it's not a big deal to you, it's not a big deal to the audience, right? So if he's kind of going back through, listen, he has a script in front of him. The audience doesn't have a script. So let's say he butchers a line. Let's say he forgets a line. Let's say he skips a whole paragraph. The audience has no clue. So he could keep going as if nothing had happened, or he could just brush it off like it was no big deal, and the audience feels that. But if he's like, oh wait, let me go back, let me redo that, let me say that again, or wait, I said it wrong. If they do that, then all of a sudden it fills the audience and they're like, oh wait, he messed up somewhere. And again, this is all taken in the context of this is a older brother giving a toast to a younger brother at a wedding reception. So not a huge deal. It's a super forgiving audience, but again, just something to be aware of.
Mistakes. It really made me hard to come up with material for this speech. So whether it's Alan's, there's a lot of qualities that Alan has. Whether it's his maturity. In grade school, Alan was busy running a website business. Most of his classmates were probably worrying about their voices changing and their hair growing out of weird places. Whether it's Alan's toughness, the guy just peed out a rock, enough said. keep that rock though? Huh? No, I know you did. Alan told me yesterday. He actually went into the toilet with his hand and grabbed the stone. And Alan usually doesn't wash his hands. As John Davis told me yesterday. I hope he did that time. His trophy collection was huge, always bigger than my 7th place ribbon collection.
He started to kind of mumble there, where I think he said 7th place ribbon collection. But again, make sure it's important that you enunciate as a speaker. And part of what maybe the issue is he's got gum in his mouth. Don't have gum in your mouth.
There was and always is a reason to admire Alan. Today, Alan is a married man. Today is about Alan and the love of his life. You can look no further than the planning that went on for today. He actually had his wedding website up and running even before he met Michelle.
That's a good line.
And as Herb was mentioning, Alan likes to play.
Now, the reason that this is funny is I'm assuming that everybody in the room knows that this brother, the guy that got married, is a planner, and he's super meticulously and detailed organized. So if they don't know that, then it's just kind of like, I think that's funny, but I don't really know. So again, this is why it's really, really important to know your audience, to make sure you're using material that they are all, if it's going to be some type of like inside joke, that it's a joke they're all going to get and they're going to understand.
And when we were younger, we called him the plan man. He always planned ahead, thought things through, and organized his actions in a way to achieve whatever his goal was at the time. I have no doubt that Alan's grand plan, including sharing his life with a beautiful wife. Michelle, you look amazing today. Alan, you didn't even shave. I'll never forget the day Alan got engaged. Partly because he videotaped his proposal, he's a bit of a creep. Partly because he called me that day, and Alan never calls me. When he calls, you know it's about something important. As soon as I picked up the phone, I could hear in his voice, I've never heard Alan sound happier than he ever had before. I always tease him about how he shows off his engineering ring on his pinky finger. I can safely say though today, Alan is much more proud of his new ring, and even more proud to show off his new wife.
Good line.
Michelle, ever since we met you, we knew you were a keeper. I in particular liked you from the start because you always laughed at my jokes, even though Alan would just shake his head and call me an idiot. You were beautiful inside and out, kind, compassionate, genuine, smart, caring, and most importantly, you make my brother happy in a way that I never could.
Oh, that's a good line.
Michelle, or should I say Mitch, welcome to the family. There are many Michelles in this world, but there's only one Mitch. For those of you that don't know, our family calls Michelle Mitch. Why? I have no idea.
Again, a good example there. People didn't know that. It didn't sound like there was any type of reaction there. So he had to come back and kind of explain it. But once he explained it, then it's like, okay, that's funny. But without it, if he just said, we just call him Mitch and then kept going, then everyone's just kind of like, wait, do they call her Mitch? Is that like her name? Is that a nickname that they have between the two of them? Or who's Mitch?
So I call her that, and for some reason it's stuck. I think Herb misunderstood me though, because he sometimes calls you Mitchell. But don't worry about that too much. He sometimes calls me Kayla.
Again, I'm assuming this is some type of inside reference to Kayla as someone, maybe his girlfriend or wife or fiance or whatever. So again, as long as everybody is in on the joke, then it works. But otherwise, it can fall flat. He's doing a good job here on several of these points where delivers a good punchline, audience gets a big laughter out of it, and instead of him just like jumping right in and going to the next line, reading the next part of the script there, he's waiting. He's letting the laughter build, he's letting the laughter hang there, which is a good thing to do. Let that die out and then continue.
Seriously though, I couldn't ask for a better sister-in-law. Alan and Michelle, I wish you two all the best in your life together. I love you both. Mom made me say that.
Good line. Very good. So that was a callback, all right? So he mentioned earlier that the brother sent the email, and on his birthday, Mom made me do that. So a callback to that. So anytime you can use a callback where you use something in the beginning, and then you call back to it later in the presentation, really, really powerful. So great callback there.
So, I don't have a glass, but let's all raise a glass to Alan and Michelle. Thank you. I'm going to go.
All right, so if you're going to be making a toast, it's important that you have the key thing. You need a glass, right? So just again, think that stuff through ahead of time so that it doesn't become like this awkward, clunky moment of like, I'm going to be the guy delivering the toast, and yet I have no glass.
Hug them, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom.
Good job, good job. All right, hope you enjoyed that video breakdown of the best brother speech at the wedding reception there. Really good job by that dude. It was fun, enjoyed that. Hey, if you like this and you wanna see more breakdowns of speeches and presentations, make sure that you subscribe to this channel. Also make sure that you like the video below and do 2 types of comments. One, if there's any type of takeaway that you learn, what's the one thing that you're gonna take that you're gonna apply to your next speech or presentation? Let us know that in the comments. Also, number 2, if there's a talk or presentation or TED Talk or some type of speech that you would like for us to review and break down in a future video, then make sure that you let us know that in the comments as well. All right, my friends, thanks for hanging out with us. We'll catch you next time. You're awesome.